Welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts podcast. Mandy, how you doing?
Doing so good. Doing so good. We had a great week. I'm so happy
Yeah,
that you were able to come here.
we're coming off a big high of actually getting to see each other in person, and we crammed a whole lot into a short time. But yeah, it's always great when I get to see my friend and get that big old hug. You give the
Yeah,
best hugs.
you do too. I think it's because of the height difference. It's the perfect hugging.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this week because it was truly amazing, even though we did pack way too many things into a short amount of time that I don't like to overschedule like that. But
We do it every time.
yeah, I loved that we were finally able to do like our branding shoot and everything that we wanted to do, record in person for once. So that was really fun. Have our first
Yes.
guest on the podcast. That was awesome. Like there was a
Yeah.
lot of firsts this week. It was
I
amazing.
know. It was really, really exciting. And I will tell you my favorite part, not surprising to me at all, was the photo shoot. I had so much fun with Abbie, our photographer. Mandy, do you want to give a little bit about Abbie, who she is, where
Mhm.
people can find her? Because she was stellar.
Yes. So Abbie is abbietakespictures.com. She is the biggest cheerleader photographer that we have ever had, in any pictures we've ever had taken. It was, she has a vision, which I love, and she really helped us put together the looks and the setups and everything. But what I really liked is that when she would take a picture of us, she would like squeal whenever she would get a really good one. And I'm like, I love this because no, I don't need someone to be like, you're so good, you're so pretty, you're so.
You're so pretty.
Yeah. But she would be like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. And she was just, it made it so that you had so much more confidence in taking the pictures because it's awkward because they put you in stupid
Yeah.
poses that don't feel natural. And she, told us if it doesn't feel natural, if it feels weird, you're doing it right.
You're
And
doing it right. Yeah.
you
That
have
was
to
my favorite
trust.
part. She was so much fun in the way that she made the awkwardness the fun of it, right? Like getting in this pose and she's like, it feels really weird, huh? It looks great. Like I loved that. And 2 minutes into the shoot, we were just being our normal corny selves
Mhm.
and loving every second. I cannot wait to see the pictures. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. The only thing that was missing was Mallory Fisher. It was we
Yeah.
brought her back in the laughing, the ha ha ha, that she always did to make sure that we would all start laughing while we were taking the pictures
Yes.
because laughing pictures are awkward. But as soon as somebody gets me laughing, it's real. It's real and
Because
they
then
look
it's real.
real.
That's the thing. You need somebody to kick it off,
Hmm.
and she's a perfect person for it. She has the funniest laugh, and it's the fake laugh. It's the and then once she gets started, yeah, you
You
can't
can't not
help it.
laugh.
Like
Yeah.
now everybody's laughing genuinely, and we're laughing at ourselves, and it feels like the downtime, like, okay, we got to get it together, take this picture. But in those moments where we're falling apart laughing at Mallory's cackle, then that's when the magic pictures happen. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
really excited about that because we did honor our girl Mal with
Hmm.
the
Yeah, it
myself
was
giggle.
very helpful. She got us through the last team pictures and the wedding pictures with her crazy laugh.
Yeah.
Um, she will be there next time
Okay,
when
but
she
what
comes on
about
spring break.
what about recording the podcast though? Because that was quite an experience. It was our first time to record a podcast in person, but it was
Yeah.
also our first time to record with a guest, which is very interesting that we would do that at the same time that we would have a guest when we've never done it in person because we are not pros with podcast equipment.
No,
We
shout
learn
out to
very
Brie
quickly.
K that she's patient. She's like, I got nowhere to be. My mom has my kids,
Yeah.
So because she could have judged us hard. It
Yeah.
was rough. So we were using this recording studio at the place where we got the pictures taken. It's a fine studio. It has the recording equipment and everything, but
Yeah, it
like
was perfect. We just didn't know how to use
we
it.
didn't know how to use it. So we're just Googling everything and I felt so stupid. It's like, should we have done some research before? For sure.
Yeah,
But we
probably.
didn't. We figured it out in the moment, but it took an hour to figure, everything out, all hands on deck, me, you, Bree, Adam, kind of the girl at
Yeah.
the place where we recorded. So it was rough, but we ended up figuring it out and I was so scared. Like we double checked like 11 times to make sure that it was all recording. But we got the recording and it's good.
But it's done.
It's done. Yeah. So you guys should have
So
already
funny.
listened to that. That was last week's episode. Um, so, but yeah, it was really fun. There's so much of an energy in the room with an extra person, especially when that person is funny and has a great energy and, so many things. But I felt like that's that's something that we're going to need to do as often as we can living several states away.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really loved being able to bring in a third perspective. Like you have your experiences in life and in corporate, and so do I. But ours are so, well, they're different because we're different people. They're the same because we came from the same place and we were on the same team and we worked together. So the similarities, are obviously there. So when we were able to bring in a third perspective, um, there's magic in that. Not only because their experience is completely different, but Bree had a lot of really great insight, for those people who want to stay and want to make it great.
Hmm.
But today's topic's going to be a lot different than that. Mandy, just
Yeah,
go
let's dig
ahead,
into it.
drop the bomb. What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
Today we're talking about when you know that it's right to leave corporate, right? So I just want to jump in to this TikTok comment section where we ask people, what was your sign? How did you know that it was time to leave corporate? And it, I mean, it didn't disappoint. They all had good reasons to leave corporate,
Yeah.
So,
Well, but with that, I guess my first thought on that is in looking at the comments, but also in even asking the question, I feel like we set people up a little bit to go two different directions, right? There is a difference between a really great reason in leaving your crappy job or a shitty company that doesn't treat you right, and that gut feeling of like, this was a sign that I knew I can't work in corporate at all anymore. It's not
yeah.
about this company. It's about the overarching structure. I am not meant for this.
Hmm.
So I really want to like dive in today on when you have that feeling, when you have that gut feeling, what are the signs that like I, I can't make this better. I've got to go.
Yeah, the corporate way is not for me, right? So let's
Right.
play a game
Right.
then with these comments. I will read them and I want you to tell me if this is a reason to leave corporate or if this is a reason to leave your shit job with your shit
Okay, well, I
boss
want to
or
hear
whatever.
yours too,
Yeah.
because these are
I,
just my opinions.
yeah.
Everyone has their own right to it.
All right. All right. Well, we'll both play, but I'll read them.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, my boss and boss's boss tried to push everyone out and not pay bonuses.
You definitely need to leave the company,
Yeah.
but not all companies are shitty.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a reason to leave your job, not necessarily
Yeah,
corporate.
that's not a corporate thing. That's just a horrible boss thing. Someone who doesn't
Hmm.
like money, apparently, because they're just going to run all their people out. That's terrible.
Yeah.
This person says, realizing I hate masking all day and it's emotionally and spiritually draining. They haven't made the leap yet, but they have realized that this isn't right for them.
Yeah. I'll be honest on this one. When we saw this comment, I had to Google that. Like, what is masking? Um, And when I read what that actually means, like where you literally are like putting on a front of like being somebody different than you actually are all day long, that's a problem. And I guess the answer to that would depend on in what way you had to mask,
Hmm.
right? But I would be willing to bet that if your personality didn't align with, who you are at the core didn't align with being in that corporate environment, that's probably a reason to go. You're probably not on the right bus.
Yeah.
Don't find another seat, find another bus.
Yeah. Yeah. A whole new way. All right. I think you're right about that one too. This person says, my whole management team left to strategize how to bolster morale and came back with nothing. Literally concluded everything was okay and came back
Oh, well, that's their sign that they gotta go, because ew.
from that company, right? That's not
Yeah,
that's not all
I
corporate.
yeah, that's not you can't lump that into this is the way corporate structure is ran. It may be common, but no, I think that
Yeah,
you
it
just
can
have
be
shitty
common.
bosses.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
shitty bosses, but these people are probably sitting there around that table. They're like, we gave them the pizza party, right?
Yeah.
We gave
I
them,
love
yeah, we
the
gave them
freaking pizza
wear
party.
jeans to work Fridays. I mean, what
Yeah.
else do they want?
Money, money. We
Yeah.
want money and we want to be fulfilled and we want to do work that we enjoy doing and we want creativity and we want flexibility and we want it all.
Yes. And they're like, we're doing
Not
everything that we
pizza.
can. We can't help morale here because we're doing all that we can. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay. This person says, I didn't do any work for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's a burnout sign big time. And I don't know. I mean, I think I would have to ask more questions, but I would say there's a big possibility that you need to be doing something else completely.
Hmm.
I went through that myself where I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, no.
And it did not serve me to do that. It did not serve me well. Certainly didn't serve the company, but that was one of my signs. So I would say, dig a little deeper, but yeah,
Yeah,
probably a sign to get out altogether.
I completely agree with you that the when you get to that level of I can't. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about consequences. I just
Yes.
can't do this. That's a
Yep.
that's a red flag. All right. All right. So this person said, "Oh, I don't know, somewhere between having to let go 60 people while I was on a cruise with my family in the middle of the Mississippi, or maybe it was my boss messaging me on Teams while I was at my grandmother's deathbed. My grandmother's last words to me were, 'I don't know about this job for you.' And then my boss not even giving me condolences for a week after my grandmother passed and after berating me for missing a meeting when clearly she didn't read my email saying my grandmother had passed."
Well, I think grandma's right. I don't know about this job for you, but again, not everybody treats their people that way.
No.
Um, so yeah, get a new
Yeah, you just
job,
need to
but
find a
like you
different
could,
boss that
yeah,
has,
yeah.
feelings. Yeah.
Seriously, empathy. I don't know.
Yeah, just a little bit of that. Oh, this is my favorite one. Are you ready? This will be
Okay.
our last
Yeah, I'm
one.
ready.
Okay, but this is
Okay.
my favorite. I felt like I was surrounded by Adderall addicts.
Been there, done that. Where I'm like, how are you so on right now? And I know the shots of tequila you were doing last night. What is happening?
Hmm.
Oh my
I
gosh.
Is
Yeah,
that
that
the
one hit
corporate way
home.
though? I don't know.
I
Like, is
I
that
don't
just a
know.
job problem?
I don't know if that's the corporate way because I can obviously my corporate experience is very singular, but not everyone was like that. I didn't feel like I was surrounded by them. I could just pick them out of a crowd, you
Yeah.
know? So if that's definitely a clear sign that you might not be in the right job, but I don't know. When I think about signs that you should be leaving corporate, I'm thinking about something deeper than that, like that deep rooted gut feeling, this is not right for me. The kind of thing that is going on, but you also have this fear of like, well, I can't leave because of this, this, and this. It's like the stability, the income, like maybe it's the benefits, like I know what my family needs, and this is giving them that. And if I take a risk and leave, I'm risking that stability.
Hmm.
Um, but that gut feeling where you know that you know that you know, like something's not right.
So I had that exact moment where it was looking me straight in the face that corporate really wasn't for me, but I didn't understand it for a few years after this happened. So just to give you a little bit of information and kind of backstory. So, we had to take those like personality tests type things to help our
Yeah.
leaders lead us. And so they were like, I don't remember what the one that we took was called, but it was kind of like a disc assessment or something like that, where you found out that you were
Hmm.
like a high A and a low D and like all these things that don't make sense unless you read what they're
I
about.
loved that test.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you just go through and you just pick words. You know what I mean? Like it's just like this or this, this or
Yeah.
this, this or this. And it's crazy how it spits out your personality to you. And mine was dead
And it
on.
was right.
It
Yeah, me
really is.
too.
What I didn't know about it until we were at a meeting one time, and one of the girls that we loved from HR, she was speaking to the group about these assessments and how it can help them lead their teams and all of that stuff. And she's like, the thing to look at is, what are these people? Is this person super detail oriented, a people pleaser, all these things that it ends up telling you. But there's more to it. They have you do one that is based on how you see yourself, right? Who you are inside. And then
Yeah.
they do one about who you are at work, right? How you want to be perceived, right? So
Hmm.
she's telling everybody how that all works. And she's like, Mandy, do you care if I put yours up on the screen? Because I want to show them something. And I'm like, sure, I don't care. And I had never been told this part of this assessment about me. But basically, she's like, you see here, her self perception is this. And then, not lining up is her at work, how she wants to be perceived at work, basically, is what she's telling them.
Yeah.
She's like, they're not close. They need to be really happy at work. They need to be kind of close. Hers are not close. She's like, so what we usually see with this is that you see the burnout, you see those things happen. And she's like, are you feeling any of that? I'm like, no, I'm great. Right. But looking back, that is why, I mean, it took a long time, but that is why I was completely myself at work. No one was like, you have a whole different personality from, when we're just friends and at work. I didn't have the phone voice. Like I was myself,
Yeah.
but I was needing to project something. I was needing to be on all the time, which is not natural to me and not actually what I want. Um,
Hmm.
for most corporate jobs, specifically for the one that we had, you had to work with people all day, every day. And you had to
And a
be,
lot of them.
yeah, not a small amount. And you had to be with, I mean, these we would see 100 people a day. And so that is, I
Hmm.
needed time to wind down in between. And there wasn't time. I was on the road for 4 days. I had to get to 4 locations. I had to, whatever the situation was, and yeah, it wasn't natural to me. I didn't get that time to recoup and recharge by being alone. And so, yeah, that wasn't natural to me. And they could see it on the
Yeah.
assessment. It didn't make them not want to hire me. They were like, that's going to be a her problem, I guess. I don't know. And
Right.
it
Right.
ended
Like,
up
is
being,
that what they thought? Like, that's a you problem?
I'm not sure, but it did end up being a me problem because I burned myself out and I
Hmm.
gave too much that I didn't have to give. It's not that I didn't have it to give. And I think that HR saw that coming, right? But it was like, you like this job, right? You're good at this job, right? Sure. Okay. Do it until you hit the wall hard. And that's what
So you
happened.
can't.
Yeah. So that was my sign and should have been a sign 6 years earlier than it was to me. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, that I wasn't cut out for that. That wasn't that wasn't ever going to work out long term. I was never going to retire from that job. It couldn't have happened.
Yeah, mine was a little bit more of a slow burn. And I think that I got tripped up, and you will appreciate this because you know, because if you know, you know, right? So I would have to trick myself if I can just get through this quarter. Like this quarter is always hard. If I can just get through this quarter, then I'll be able to breathe, right? And we would get through quarter two, and I would go,
Yeah, but
but then
seriously,
you look
fuck quarter
down.
three. Always.
Quarter three was the worst. And then it was like you were reminded of this, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so quarter three, this is where it's really gonna hit hard. And not only am I lying to myself to get through it, I'm also saying this to my family, like
Yeah.
just a few more weeks. I promise you, like a few more weeks, and things are gonna slow down, and I'm gonna be more in control of like my life. And then after quarter three, I'd be like, okay. And then you're like, oh my God, the holidays are coming up. Things are going to get wild between, you know, personal celebrations, office celebrations, holiday promotions. Like it just got wild. And then it's like, okay, we're going to get through this year. And then you go through the holidays, and then you're like, all right, holy cow, quarter one just smacked me in the face with all of the planning meetings. And at that point, you're already kind of burnt out from getting through the craziness of quarter four. You start quarter one, and you're talking about planning the entire year, and you can see the burnout
Yeah,
on
coming
the
from a
calendar
million
for
miles
the
away.
entire year
Yeah.
at a meeting at the very beginning. And it's like, hey, don't get overwhelmed. Like, oh my God. But I did that. I lived that cycle probably 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 years, right, of
Hmm.
going through that before I was recognizing the lie that I was telling myself. And then it was like, well, this is what you wanted. This is what you signed up for. And I felt like I had invested so much of myself in it by that point that I was willing to keep the lie going because this is just how it's done. And if I quit now, then what was the last 5 years worth of sacrifice for? Nothing for me to just leave anyway. Little did I know I would make that, you know, I think that craziness in my life, I wound up doing it for 11, but leaving after 20 years at the same company, finally realizing like, oh my gosh, I don't know when quarter two or quarter three starts anymore. I don't have any idea.
We don't talk
Like
about
I
that at all.
operate,
Yeah.
no, I operate Sunday to Saturday. It's fine. Like the
Hmm.
calendar is what it is. The months just keep rolling, and we get through it. And
Hmm.
nothing that we do in our current role, though, is dictated by the time of year in the
Hmm.
way that it was prior. So it's probably just a difference in the type of work that we're doing. But
Hmm.
I can just remember looking at my calendar and thinking, okay, I've been telling myself that, once I get through this and there's going to be a break, but I can see what's coming next. And then it's like, I got to that place where it was like, there's not a break. There's never a quiet work time, right? Like there were weeks here and there where you just did the normal work, but for the most part, it was like juggling one big thing until it's over, and then you pick up the next big thing that hijacked your mental energy, your time, your 100% of your focus,
Hmm.
to the point that I was like, oh, I can't even care anymore. Like
Well,
I
yeah,
don't, if
I just
if
feel
I never
like,
had to do another national promotion
yeah,
again, like even that word saying that, I'm like, ugh, no,
it's
I
hard.
can't.
It's hard. I think that the big thing here in what you're saying is that this is you had to leave corporate. All right, this is the corporate
Hmm.
way. And I have
Yeah.
noticed since I edit this podcast the last couple times, I say that a lot, the corporate way. But it is. It's the corporate way to to just keep pushing full steam ahead, fill up the calendar as much as you can and get it all done. And I understand why. I
Yeah,
own a
because time is
business.
money,
Yeah.
right? Let's get as much done in as short amount of time as we can because everything costs money. Time
Yeah.
is money. I
Yeah.
get it. I
Hmm.
get it. But that is just like so much for me. I've actually went back and listened to some of our podcasts and thought to myself like, what must I sound like to those people that I worked with before. Like that, it's not like I don't know, insecure feeling of like they're like, oh, she couldn't hack it. And I thought for a second, like, yeah, like, should I be kind of embarrassed that I couldn't? And then I'm like,
No.
no,
We
no,
all have
I'm not
different
like
boundaries of what,
yeah,
what we
like,
can
and I
handle.
dropped mine to make
Hmm.
it work. And now that I have some, I'm just overall a happier person. And a lot of those people that I would, be worried about what they think, they thrive in that kind of environment. And
Hmm.
kudos to them
Yeah.
because we need those people in the world, right? But I also know some that are just getting by. And
Yeah, they haven't
in
figured it
that,
out yet. They haven't figured out
yeah.
that this is slowly killing them.
Yeah. And that it's optional. It's all your choice. You don't
Hmm.
have to stay. I worried so long, like I said, being at the same company for 20 years, it was like I felt a disloyalty in thinking about leaving. And I finally had to realize, like, I'm not being disloyal to the company by choosing a better path for myself. I'm being loyal to me.
Hmm.
By staying, I'm being disloyal to me. So when I die, what's going to matter about how I lived my life? The way that I
Yeah.
honored this company or the way that I honored the one life I had to live. And I don't regret staying for as long as I did because I learned a lot. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now had I
Hmm.
not had those experiences. And even in the personal sacrifices that I made, it landed me where I am. I have the relationship that I do with my daughters because of those experiences, and I'm able to be a different person, a different mom, a better version of myself because of the learning process of going through that, which would not have been here otherwise. So I don't regret it, but there are a lot of the things that we've talked about in previous podcasts that I wish that I could have applied to be happier while I was doing it. And then ultimately, I'm just so grateful that I finally had the courage to follow that gut instinct
Hmm.
because it was there. It was like that pit in my stomach for multiple years where it was like, if something comes your way, the first chance you get to run, you got to go.
Hmm.
And things did come along, but not in a way that felt right. And then when it did, I was like, no looking back. And I guess I got lucky because I landed here with you.
Yeah.
And I am happy to be here.
No one believed you. No one believed you in that
I,
clip. I was like, I was like, why does she hate it here? What is
I
going
don't
on?
know why I said it that way or why I had that look on my face, but I really am happy to be here. Oh, I looked like I was being like, like
Yeah,
somebody
the
had a
gun to
gun
the
in my
head.
back, or it was like, I'm so happy to be here. No,
It
really, I am.
was.
I
That's what it
am.
looked like.
I'm saying it, with like
I don't know that they're
full.
still gonna believe you. They're gonna be like, she threatened her job, and now she said, you better say on the podcast that you like
I'm
being
not
here.
being threatened at all. This is contract labor, okay? I can quit if I want to.
Yes, you can. You can. Okay, so I know that our experiences are very similar to each other. They come from the same company, and we haven't worked for any other corporations besides the one. And we didn't actually know all the signs that it might be time to leave corporate, not just the job that you're in right now, but like actually corporate isn't for you. And so, can you read us what ChatGPT told us so that we can
Yeah.
give some education?
Yeah. I did ask ChatGPT, like, what are some signs that you should leave the corporate rather than just the job? And I think they're kind of dead on. I'm going to read some of them because some of them are not, well, some of them are better than others.
Mhm.
The first one is you feel like you're just a cog in the machine. Corporate thrives on making employees feel replaceable. And if you constantly feel like your work doesn't matter, or if you're just another faceless name in an organizational chart, it might be time to find somewhere that your impact is actually felt. I totally get that. I can remember when I left thinking, it won't take them 5 minutes to find somebody else to do this job. It's fine. They'll be fine. This one's a good one too. The bureaucracy is slowly killing your soul. You need to get something simple done. but you have to get 6 approvals, wait 2 weeks, and then fill out a form that hasn't been updated since 2003. That used to drive me crazy. All of the red tape. So if you can't handle the red tape, probably shouldn't be in corporate because it's everywhere.
Well, and you know what I'm going to tell you? So we do social media, obviously, for small businesses. Some small businesses are, let's say, a financial planner, an insurance agent. They work for a corporation, but they're an independent dealer kind of deal, right?
Uh-huh.
So they get their own social media and marketing done. The company doesn't do that for them. And
Yeah.
I can't work with them, most of them, because it would be so impossible to go back to that, to saying, okay, here's the social media post we came up for you. And they're like, I have to send these through corporate and make sure that they're on brand, make sure that there's no
It
words
takes
that
so
will
much
mess with
time.
compliance and all, and I can't. I refuse because that was a hard part. And I understand why
Yeah.
corporations need to stay on brand. I understand why they need to
Hmm.
be compliant. Like they could literally get sued from a social media post. This is not me. I mean, the whole thing is broken.
It's not bashing, it just
Yeah,
is what it
it is
is.
what it is. So, yeah, we love to work with small business owners, but I can't work for a small business owner who is part of a bigger corporation because it's impossible. It's so hard. Can't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. When the bureaucracy is getting you.
Hmm.
Okay, so the next one is you hate the politics more than the actual job. You can love what you do, but the endless office politics, whether it's favoritism or backstabbing, if those are the things holding you back, it might not just be the company because that kind of is the corporate game, stepping on each other to get ahead, that sort of thing. We got lucky. I don't feel like we dealt with just a whole lot of that, but I mean, we did see it, I don't know. Could
Hmm.
be a good one. But this one is a big one. If you're constantly daydreaming about other paths, so if you've thought about starting your own business or just working in a less vigorous environment, if you're always fantasizing about leaving, there's probably a reason. You probably need to pay attention to that little voice in your head. If you feel stagnant and uninspired, corporate often rewards stability over innovation. So if you're looking for that creative space and you're tired of doing the same thing day in and day out, you might find something with more freedom and flexibility in your
You
creativity.
know what I want to do? I
And
want
then,
to do an episode on I want to do an episode on finding your passion outside of corporate because some people they don't hate what they're doing. They have good hours, they have a good boss, but they're not creatively challenged at their job because that's just not what they do. And I would love to do something like, let's find you can still do this job. It's a good job for you. You don't have to make your career
yeah,
your passion, although I recommend it. That would be awesome if you can.
it works if you
Yeah,
do.
but you can still be creatively challenged, I guess we'll say,
Hmm.
somewhere outside of work and then find more, love for your job too, because it's not
Yeah,
just you either do
because you're
this or you do
fulfilled in
this.
another way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one could kind of go either way.
Hmm.
If the corporate ladder feels like a scam, you've been promised that if you work hard, you'd climb the ladder, but now you're watching less qualified people get promoted while you're still stuck doing double the work for the same paycheck. Maybe that ladder doesn't go anywhere. I was fooled by the ladder, only to find out there was very few. The higher you get, the fewer rungs there are left, unless you leave your company and go somewhere else that has more rungs on the ladder. And that just was like, that was just exhausting. Why am I chasing this carrot?
Hmm. Well,
What is
and
this?
I think there's so much politics and stuff that goes into it. And if you have experienced that, I didn't see that as much, and not in our on our ladder specifically.
Uh-huh.
I didn't see the politics as much, but there are so
Yeah.
many, like what you just said, someone who's way less qualified gets it. That that's a big reason to leave.
That burns.
That would make me
That
crazy.
burns.
Hmm.
Well, this is the biggest like light bulb sign. So if you're like on the fence thinking, I feel like maybe it's time, but I don't know. If you can answer this last one, I think you'll have the answer. You know deep down that this is not what you want. At the end of the day, you know that corporate is either for you or it is not. Maybe you've been ignoring the feeling because it's scary to leave the stability behind, but if something in your gut is telling you it's time, it's time. Make a plan and make a
Mhm.
move.
I agree. And there are options. I I obviously recommend starting a business. We're gonna have a guest on, I think it's next week, who's gonna talk about, starting a business and what that means. And I recommend it to anybody who wants that, right? Like I want that. Mandy doesn't want that. She doesn't want to own a business.
Yeah, no.
She's like, no,
I mean,
I don't
maybe
want to
one
be,
day, but not
maybe.
right now.
Yeah.
In what my personal world looks like, that's not something that I want.
Yeah.
But
You
like
don't want to do
maybe
the
one day, I
paperwork.
don't know.
You don't want to deal with the, like all those things that are not creative or fun. And I understand
I
that.
don't need the additional stressors. Yeah.
Yeah. But we saw somebody comment on one of our videos a few weeks ago who said, you can't make more than you make in corporate, like working for a small business or something like that along those lines. And I was like, ooh, that's short-sighted because absolutely you can. Not even just owning a
Mhm.
business. Obviously, you can make more owning a business if you get the business to a successful
If you
place.
build it,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it starts off being a lot less, by the way. Um,
Yeah, it is a
but
sacrifice at first.
yeah, but just being an employee for a small business, you can make what you were making. You absolutely can. Small businesses grow and they need good talent. And if they're smart, they'll pay someone, right, who will stick around. So
Yeah.
it is not, it is not to say that you can't make as much money. There are options if you decide that it is time to leave corporate. There are options for you, but remember that it's not all about that. It's not, it might not be
Yeah.
corporate that's the problem. It might be the job that you're in.
Yeah, and I'm excited for a future episode. I don't know when, and I don't know where
Mhm.
that's going to fall, but we've discussed a lot today on how you know that it's t your time to go. But I do want to dive deeper into this and explore how you go. How do you determine what is next for you, whether it's looking for a job at a small business or starting your own business? Like, how do you determine what is next and what are some smart practices while you're still in your corporate role to set yourself up to be able
Yeah.
to get out in a way that is sustainable financially and mentally and emotionally and all the other ways, but that's going to land you where you're happiest.
Yeah.
So whether we can find an expert to be a guest to bring in and help us talk through those things or do some research on our own, I think that that will be exciting conversation to kind of take it to that next step.
I do too. I love that. Well, this was a good one. I'm glad that we had this
I like this
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to trust your gut. That's what I got out of it. Trust
Yeah.
your gut. You know when it's time to go. So
I
I
completely
like it.
agree. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to muddle through this again. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Corporate Burnouts Podcast, on TikTok at the Corporate Burnouts. You can go to our website to see all the episodes and subscribe to whichever place you want to listen at thecorporateburnouts.com. And what else?
I think that's it.
I think that that's it too. And then we're going to ask again, please send us your stories. Please send us your secrets. We really want to tell your secrets. Please tell us the
Yeah,
juicy,
I want to tell
juicy
some
goss.
office drama. Like, tell
Mhm.
me who's sleeping with who and who doesn't know about it, or who's over in the storage closet. Like, I want to know. Tell us.
I know. Me too. All right, you can do
No one's
that
in
on
my
our website.
storage closet.
hmm Thank goodness. Thank goodness
I
that would be
know.
scary. Um, yeah, at thecorporateburnouts.com, you can tell your secrets. Please go and do that and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
All right.